So the policy directive if Trump becomes president again, is to protect white people from woke policies, to protect white people from black and brown people. Put up the picture, full mass. Hell of a story here, but true. Per Axios, close allies of Donald Trump want to dramatically change the government's interpretation of civil rights era laws if Trump returns to the White House. The overhaul would focus on, quote, anti-white racism. That's going to be the new thing. Anti-white racism rather than discrimination against people of color. Keep up his picture. They're admitting that racism exists. Now, before they said racism does not exist, that America is not a racist country, that America has never been a racist country, that America was not built on racist principles, but all of a sudden, they're now embracing that racism is probably an actual thing. But it's racism against white people. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. A CBS poll last November found that 58% of Trump supporters or Trump voters believe people of color have an advantage. So damn near 60% of Trump voters believe that black people have black privilege. And that this black privilege gives us a particular advantage in the workplace and in education. While just 9% of Biden voters said the same. The poll also showed, however, that Trump is gaining support among black and Latino voters. That's because many of them are disinterested in the failed leadership of Biden, especially as it relates to things like humanitarian efforts and being decisive here in America. Trump's Justice Department will push to eliminate or upend programs in government and corporate America that are designed to counter racism that has favored whites. Targets would range from decades-old policies aimed at giving minorities economic opportunities to more recent programs that began in response to the pandemic and the killing of George Floyd. Trump campaign spokesperson said, quote, as President Trump has said, all staff, offices, and initiatives connected to Biden's un-American policy will be immediately terminated. They added, President Trump is committed to weeding out discriminatory programs and racist ideology across the federal government. Longtime aides and allies preparing for a potential second Trump administration have been laying legal groundwork with a flurry of lawsuits and legal complaints, some which have been successful. Now, if you remember, I said this was coming. There were people on the left who agreed with the Supreme Court's ruling about affirmative action. I encourage you to read my op-ed about the ruling, because in my op-ed, I spell out the reality of the ruling clearing the way for this, what you see today, to happen. You see, sometimes you have to look at a ruling in the context of the strategy of the other side. They're playing chess and we're playing checkers. We think it's about the move, and to them it's about positioning. And in checkers, you use your power to gain that position. In chess, you use position to gain power. And they have been positioning different court cases, different rulings have come down with the agreement by some on the left, because in context, they benefit the right. Put it up full mass. Axios reports that the central vehicle for the effort has been America First Legal, founded by former Trump aide Stephen Miller. He's back. Who has called the group of conservatives long-awaited answer to the ACLU, end quote. America First cited the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in a lawsuit against CBS and Paramount Global for what they argued was discrimination against Brian Banneker a white straight man who was a writer for the CBS show SEAL Team in 2017. Axios reports that also in February, the group filed a civil rights complaint against the NFL over its Rooney Rule, named for Dan Rooney, a late owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which requires teams to interview at least 2 minority candidates for vacant general manager, head coach, and coordinator positions. You got to think about how extreme this is. Keep the picture up. They're saying, listen, we don't want you even interviewing a certain number of black or brown candidates for the position. We don't want you even to interview them, let alone hire them. So if they're successful at saying you don't have to interview them, naturally, they can make the argument there's no need to have a hiring mandate or a diversity protocol whatsoever, because once again, obviously that's racist to white people, but racism only exists against white America, according to them. The group argued that, and this is a quote, given the limited time frame to hire executives and coaches after the season, this results in fewer opportunities for similarly situated, well-qualified candidates who are not minorities. I mean, damn, they're only saying you got to do two. 2021, Miller's group successfully sued to block the implementation of a $29 billion pandemic-era program for women and minority-owned restaurants, saying it discriminated against white-owned businesses. Quote, this ruling is the first but crucial step towards ending government-sponsored racial discrimination, Miller said then. Follow the tapestry. Other Trump-aligned groups are preparing for a future Trump Justice Department to implement or challenge policies on a broader scale. The Heritage Foundation's well-funded Project 2025 envisions a second Trump administration ending what it calls affirmative discrimination. I mean, you have to give it to them. They are really on point with this branding stuff. Affirmative discrimination. There's more. Put them up. Part of the plan written by former Trump Justice Department official and America First Legal's general counsel, Gene Hamilton, argues that, quote, advancing the interest of certain segments of American society comes at the expense of other Americans. He's talking about white people. And in nearly all cases violates longstanding federal law, end quote. Such groups have gained momentum with the Supreme Court's turn to the right, most notably the recent rejection of affirmative action in college admissions. It already has permeated to college scholarships. The court ruled that programs designed to benefit people of color and address past injustices discriminate against white and Asian Americans. In 2021, a federal judge blocked a $4 billion grant program to help black farmers, even though black farmers were discriminated against specifically by this government. Earlier this month, another federal judge ruled that the Commerce Department's Minority Business Development Agency was discriminating against white people and that the program had to be open to everyone. Here we are. It's right in front of you. Trump's America. Are you still questioning what Make America Great Again means to them? It's make America white again. Make America white, male, and dominated again. Let's be very clear about the founding of this country. This country was founded on the principles of being able to own another group and silencing everyone who did not have money and wealth and who happened to, not be white. You had to be a white male that owned property to participate in government. You see, the country was founded on the principles of insecurities. I know some of you may get offended by that because I'm talking about the founding fathers of the nation. But keep this in mind. Anyone who starts anything, a company, a nation, they say the only people that can have any say-so are people that look like this and have this kind of wealth. Well, we will call that an oligarchy, right? Well, That's how the nation was started. It was started by those individuals and they wanted to maintain it. Anytime you create a constitution based on the constitution of the men who are biased, that document known as the Constitution will reflect their personal constitution. And their personal constitution was clearly biased. It clearly did not want everyone to participate. And it clearly created the DNA of this nation. So what are we fighting today? We're fighting against the DNA of the country. This is nature versus nurture. Can America be nurtured away from the nature of its founding? I believe it can be, but it takes all of us fighting together in a coalition to make it happen. Mr. Mayor, thoughts?
Listen, how are we, at all surprised when we have to really consider how anti-Black America is? Let me say that again. America has always been anti-Black. Why is Mondale making woke about Black? Well, because woke is not a new word. In 2010, white folk found about woke and what it meant. And they decided after Erykah Badu told people to stay woke, that they had to do something that was anti-woke because it had something to do with liberal policies. But for those of us who have been paying attention, woke has been a part of our vocabulary, African-American vernacular, since 1923, when Marcus Garvey said, wake up Ethiopia, wake up Africa, wake up all of the Black world, right? Reminding people that if you pretend to be asleep about those things that are killing you, they will continue to kill you, and tell people that you enjoyed it. 1940, the Negro Mine Workers United said, we were asleep, but now we are awoke, and we awake and will stay woke, right? In the 60s, we heard Black people telling people, if you're woke, you dig it. And meaning that if you pay attention to what white America is doing to you, then you can see it and you can't deny it, right? 1938, the blues singer Ledbetter about the Scott Boys told Black people, stay woke or they'll kill your kids. Something they had nothing that they weren't responsible for, but they will be held accountable for. And we've got a long history of Black people being woke. So when you see this anti-woke policy, you just saying anti-N-word. We know what you're saying. It sounds better to call it anti-white racism, because America was founded on this idea that Black people had no rights, that white people were obligated to deal with or acknowledge. So Donald Trump talking about make America great again, when we know there was never a time when America had laws that included as many people as it do now. So what you're really saying is make America great for white people only again. And that is right in line with being anti-woke. Black people having the right to stand up for things that are inequitable and unjust towards them. So I'm not surprised that Donald Trump and his cronies have a plan to take us back to that time where Dr. Richey, you and I, and the producer of this show, Jordan, don't have rights that white men need to listen to.
That's right. That's right. They're trying to create a permanent underclass in this societal construct known as America. And if they have their way, they will.